I'm Zachary Fowler, and you're watching my extra channel, and today we got Kevin from Modern Self-Reliance. We're gonna do a little podcasty type thing, talk about how he started out with YouTube, how he even got this skilled with all these tools and all this building that he does, and we're gonna answer some of your questions in the community post we put out earlier today. And if you're wondering why Kevin is here, he's actually here because we're doing Waterworld 2.0 and I needed an extra set of hands. Joey wasn't available and I said, hey, why don't you come on down? I reached out to him and said, come on down and help us build Waterworld 2.0. We got a pontoon boat, we've stripped it down, we've been working on it for 4 days now. And today, this is the fifth day? Oh, this is the fifth day. I stand corrected. And we're on the end of our time together. He's got to go back to Canada and we're not done yet. Behind schedule, but not because we didn't try. We were up till
we're like today at what 9:30 p.m. will be 60 hours. 60 hours times 2, so it's 120 hours. You and I.
Yeah.
But
plus Chris and John and
yeah.
Everybody else has been running around like little ants. We got all kinds of stuff. So that'll be coming soon. Kevin, unfortunately, we can't talk him into staying on the boat with us. He's not super into that. He likes to build stuff.
That's true.
And he likes like the name Modern Self-Reliance. You like the modern amenities.
That's true. I like. Yeah, you can put. We could build this thing right out, but I don't got sea legs yet. I got a little young family at home too. So
all right. Before we get into all that,
yeah,
let's go back to the beginning.
Yep.
And before we answer their questions, let's say you were born. Give me your life story before YouTube. That gave you the knowledge that you have to be able to build stuff and start this creating. Like.
All right. Well, I guess it would start off as a young Kevin would be like I was into computers, so I started with computers. I had my own bulletin board system. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's before the internet. Before the internet started out, I had a bulletin board and I had dial-up customers that would log in and they'd play door games, and then that carried on to me, volunteering at a computer store because I feel like I wasn't old enough to do so. So I started a computer store. I worked, at basically the infancy of the internet. I was running a dial-up internet service provider at one point when I was taking care of all our customers. So I worked customer care, support-wise, making sure people could log on to the internet. And then actually I got into sort of buying my first house, and that thing was a piece of junk, and I taught myself how to fix it. So I needed doors, and I was like, I'm not buying doors, I'm making doors. So I started making these pine doors, and with some help from my stepfather.
So when was this?
I was 18.
18.
I remember the neighbor offering me a beer. And I was like, I can't legally drink because I'm not 19, because it's 19 in Canada. And the neighbor was like, what? Yeah, so.
For those that have tuned in for the first time ever, we already teased like some pictures of his Modern Self-Reliance and all the stuff he's been building. Millions of views on creative, super awesome builds, right? And born in Canada.
That's right.
Native Canadian, if you didn't guess it by the accent. I wouldn't have guessed it because you guys don't have a deep accent like you and your brother, the Wooded Beardsman. Like, I never notice it.
I don't feel like we sound any different.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
Maybe it's because of all the TV and stuff that we watch that, like you guys don't, you don't hang out with the redneck Canadians enough, maybe?
Oh, that's possible. But, I heard your mechanic, your marine mechanic sounded very like the guys from this old house. Like that very thick, is it Maine accent? Is it New Hampshire? Is it, it's something?
Yeah, they had a little bit of everything going on.
Okay.
New England
that's
accent,
right, okay.
For sure. A good solid New England accent.
We went off on a tangent.
Yes.
So the background in construction is basically taught most of the stuff myself in construction. My father is an electrician, like an actual trade electrician. So I used to wire houses with him, and it was always winter in Canada, and we'd always be wiring houses in the winter. So I've grown fond to working in the winter. There's no sweating involved. You're kind of like, you can always put more layers on. It's harder to take them off. So not like right now. We just turned the AC off so we could film, and it's it's been 85 all day. Yeah, it's crazy. But I enjoy the shade. That's why a lot of my stuff and stuff is like, people are like, cut down the trees. Why is that tree so close to that building? Well, in reality, I enjoy the shade. I like to be in the shade. I don't know, like these people that are full sun, I don't get them. So anyways, that's kind of my background in construction. I moved, and then I got out of computers. It turned out the bottom fell out. Everybody got on computers, and I kind of veered off. I met a guy when I was actually fixing computers, and he was into Apple, the Macintosh computers, and he happened to be a photographer at a local newspaper. And he kind of took me under his wing. I taught him everything I knew about computers. He taught me everything about photography, and I became a photojournalist for a while. I was doing the weekend, I guess it would be the weekend beat. I was going to all the festivals and taking pictures, so I had all the pro gear, and that kind of gave me a background in photography and video. It kind of translated, not really, but still you get the shot and the composition and stuff like that. So I did all that, and it turns out my buddy that I met as a photographer went into computers. So it was kind of like we traded spaces.
Yeah.
He owned is the only Macintosh store in Northern Ontario. It was actually quite interesting.
So were you doing computers during Y2K?
Yes.
So did you think it was all gonna crash on you? Were you like protecting all your hard drives and doing all your stuff to like, because you thought like the next day you were gonna wake up and all your computers were wiped? Or
You know what actually I did? As I went to the mall and I bought myself a pair of Doc Martens, like big, comfortable boots. In case the world was going to end, I was gonna have a comfortable pair of boots. That's the only thing I remember.
That was the most prepared you were?
That was as prepared
That's
as I
as
was then.
Doc
I was like, you know
Martens.
what? I need some Doc Martens, and I still have those.
Really?
Like, that many years later, I still have them, and they're like mint.
Yeah.
They're 16-hole Doc. Like they're you know, you can go like mud and with those bad boys.
Very rugged. I always wanted a pair as a kid, and I think I remember trying them on once, and I decided that wasn't my look.
It wasn't your look?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull it off, and I went back to skateboard sneakers.
Okay,
I think.
well,
like, that was always my thing.
I had the
before.
3-hole Doc Martens, and I used them for skateboarding, and my mom hated that because like it had a really flat bottom on it. It was very sticky.
Yeah.
And it worked good for skateboarding. I was terrible at skateboarding, but those Doc Martens, those 3-hole Doc Martens actually worked really well for skateboarding.
I don't understand the holes. What's the holes?
It's how tall they are. So like a 3-hole Doc Marten is almost like a dress shoe, and a 16-hole Doc Marten is like a boot.
Oh.
That's how they measured them. Did you not?
No, I didn't know that.
There you go.
No.
Yeah, the 3-hole little and 16, like they go out to like thigh high if you really want to go that crazy.
Oh,
like the
geez.
75-hole Doc Marten, I don't know. They go up to your neck. It's
Yeah.
possible. I don't know. So that being said, I kind of switched to photography, and then and then I was shooting weddings. I was shooting portraiture. I was shooting all that sort of stuff, and then it turned out everybody started doing digital cameras rolled in, and then it was guys with cameras basically undercutting all of the market when it came to photography. And I said, you know what? I'm going to switch to building because everybody's getting into that sort of thing, and I'm going back to blue collar. Sort of construction, and I'm going to do that. And for years, I worked as a general contractor for a guy. I was a foreman for a crew. I had like 6 or 7 guys, and we used to do a lot of government construction and like high-end renovation. We were doing painting. We were doing like office construction and stuff like that. And it was all high-end, and I always, whenever we did residential, I would bring in the commercial aspect. So if you ever go to like a mall and you see the really fancy drywall ceilings, I would bring that into somebody's basement and make it like extra cool and extra special. And that's kind of where I got my little niche, was the fact that I was doing really fiddly, crazy, complicated stuff in residential, and nobody wanted to touch it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did that for 10 years.
So your bosses knew that you could do all kinds of crazy stuff,
Yeah.
and they were like, the owner was like, I want to like make a curved ceiling here,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, we could do that. Kevin could do that.
That's right. So like a lot of that stuff came in afterwards, because when I was working for a company, we did a lot of regular stuff, institutional stuff, and once I left that company, I thought, you know what, there's a market for the crazy stuff. There's a market for creative drywall and off the beaten path sort of curvy stuff and fancy. Like there's.
So when did you start doing that for yourself?
I think I was probably like 25 or something, 26. So I've been doing it for, I won't reveal my exact age because I'm still very young. But I wasn't that old when I started.
I'm just trying to get a feel for it, because it seems like working with you that like, I mean, I've been building boats for years, and then I switched to doing YouTube. And so as we're doing stuff together here, it's like, you know everything about materials. Like, I don't remember half, it seems like, as much. I feel like I instinctively remember how to build and spile a plank and fit it into a boat and things like that. Whereas you know the name of every material and how it fits together with others and how like others react to it.
Yeah.
And like what's the best material and like which materials there are at the store. And like we're at the store and he's like, you know, he sees it and he's like, oh, these are Canadian 2x4s. And when I'm at home, they have American 2x4s, and like you notice things that I just don't see.
Well, I'm the kind of guy that if I get like a tool, I like the instruction booklet. I like reading the instruction booklet.
Both. Matt loves the instructions.
But I think it's interesting. Like I'd rather read, like I wouldn't rather like fiction, whatever. But I'd rather like I like facts. I like to compare and contrast stuff that's on the shelf. I like to inventory what's in the store. I like to have, I'd rather be looking at it than looking for it. So I have a huge stockpile.
So in comes your computer analytic mind that put you on that path originally, but wasn't hands-on enough for you. It wasn't creative enough, maybe.
Well, I think because too many people got into it. It was too normal. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to veer.
I see a storyline revealing here. It was kind of the same with me. Like I was building boats, but it was for somebody else. But it was still too normal. Like when I came to YouTube, I was like, I want to do what I want to do, build creative things, share them with people, and do it when I want to, and have fun. So that was, you saying, around 25. So if I do the math, because I know how old you are, so that was like 30 years ago. I just so you spent what, a good 15 years or something like that
doing construction,
but like the creative construction.
I was about 10 years, probably 10. The time keeps slipping away. It's amazing how quickly it goes once you start doing it. Yeah, like 10 to 15 years doing my own thing, doing creative stuff on my own. And then prior to that was probably about 7 years of working for somebody else.
And is that also where you picked up your inventory of materials that you've been building all your YouTube projects from?
I did a lot of government jobs, and a lot of government there's a lot of waste. I don't know if you guys know that. There's a lot of government waste. Can we get into politics? We're not going to get into politics. So a lot of government waste, a lot of jobs where there's like, we don't like this, or there's new administration coming in, and they just like, we're going to change these offices around, and they just take it and they go, bleh, they throw it out. I was once tasked to go into a penthouse of a building where they kept the spare material or the reusable material, and they're like, we have like a dignitary essentially coming through here and we want to clean this place up. But it was all like used material, which they could have reused it. They junked it all. And I was like, does it have to go to the dump? And they're like, no, we just need it out of here. And I took out thousands of pounds of clean aluminum, like aluminum trim door casings and stuff like that. And I made bank out of it. And then I remember drywalling an entire house with demountable like vinyl based drywall. Like it was crazy the amount of waste. And I've, like if I can't see a project with the material like almost immediately, like in the foreseeable future, I won't take it. I don't hoard stuff. It has to be useful stuff, and I have to have a place for it. So now, most recently, I guess because 2020 rolled around, my plan was to actually. Do you want to go into that now? Do you want to start the start of YouTube?
Yeah. So that brings us to YouTube, and why did you start YouTube? Now for those of you who don't know, and you're just still listening to all this, and you're like, okay, he seems like a neat guy. Kevin's brother, the Wooded Beardsman, which I've done adventures with, went to Canada, did adventure there. We have a whole series, and that's all over on my Fowler's Makery and Mischief channel. He came here, we did a series, it was pretty big, and I didn't even know, honestly, that you existed, maybe because maybe it wasn't, I don't know. Well, we were just so busy because he's such a grinder. Like we're up there and we're like, we got to kill, we got to eat something, we got to kill, we got to eat something, we got to kill, film. We're going to need a new video title for each day. We got to move locations. And I'm like, let's stay here and build something. He is completely the opposite of you when it comes to building. He wouldn't hold still long enough for me to build a single thing. Like I'm like, I'll build a table, and he's like, yeah, as long as it doesn't take too long. We got to go up there and we're gonna go duck hunting and we're gonna get some fish on the way back, and then when we get the fish, we're gonna use the fish to catch a bear, and then and it was just like he's just like one thing. And we came here, he's like, okay, you're gonna build something, because I was like, oh, now we're on my turf, I'm gonna build something. He's like, I'm gonna leave. And he'd go traipse off into the woods and he'd come back with a porcupine for us to eat. So Chris being your brother, and him being the bushcrafty, but like not wanting to build things, he likes the outdoors, the adventure, he measures the calories, the adventure in that aspect. You and I build things. How did you guys come around? How did it become that you're doing YouTube with him?
So Chris approached me at the start of 2020, and my plan was to actually take the entire year off. I'd been working like really a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of projects, and I was like, I'm going to take a break. And then we all know what happened in 2020, And it turned out the entire world took a year off. And my brother approached me and he says, you know, like, why don't you do a YouTube channel? And I think because Chris was either A, likes editing, or B, was bored and wanted to start a new I don't honestly think he thought I was going to go full on as hard as I did. And I think he might be regretting it now, just on the sheer amount of editing he has to do. Because what I do is I shoot a build, and the most important part of my builds is to get the build done. I could care less about the video. I shoot it in order to fund my videos, to fund the project. But most important is to actually get the build done, not necessarily the video. And then what I do is I package it all up in a big ball of trash, and I throw it at my brother, and he takes that ball of trash and he polishes that trash ball until it's a very shiny ball and releases it to the world. And I appreciate that very much, because I wouldn't do it. You guys would not see me ever if Chris wasn't editing.
I picture the analogies like that trend that was going around with the aluminum foil balls. As you're saying that, it's like you're there pounding away at making an aluminum foil ball and polish it.
I don't polish it.
Oh no, you don't polish it. You could just give him the pounded ball, and then he's gotta take and polish it till it comes to that mirror finish shine and stuff. And so you guys make a really awesome team though, because like the video edits and stuff are pretty cool. Like I love the builds. My dad found you when a couple of years ago, and when he was back teaching in the vocational school, and he watched some of your builds. He's like, "Have you seen this guy, Modern Self-Reliance?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, that's the Wooded Beardsman's brother." And he's like, "No way," you know. And
that's crazy.
It was funny, and so he loved it. You know, they loved it, and I think my brother watched a couple and stuff. And it's like, you know, so they were like all like, "Oh, you never heard of this guy? You got to see, you know, this guy builds these crazy. He built a hobbit home, you know, for a root cellar thing. It was so cool." And they loved it.
My head's not going to fit out the door.
Oh,
it's not going to fit back into Canada.
Yeah.
Wedge it back in.
Yeah. So you build it, he edits it. It looks like a really well-polished machine. You guys do quite an amazing job teamed up together. Was it like that from the beginning, or did you guys, how was it?
There was a little bit of butting heads at the start, kind of like, you know, what should you film? What are people going to be interested in watching? And at the end of the day, I've always told my brother that, you know what, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. I don't need to do this. I don't need to film stuff. Like, this is kind of what I was doing prior to YouTube. I've always kind of been building. I've always done my own thing, and I've never filmed it before. So I would be doing it anyway. So a lot of the times Chris will pitch me an idea and he'll be like, you know, you should build this, and I'll be like, you know what, that's no fun. And you know, we'll put it in the list. We have a master list of kind of project ideas that we're going to look into in the future. We have a list that's the size of my arm. Chris keeps adding it, and it gets emailed, and we just kind of pick one off the list and we carry on, because I want the YouTube thing to continue on. I think it's kind of cool that it's doing it. You know, I'm working at my own pace, not Zach's pace. It's crazy, but yeah. So like, it's fun to do it. I'm doing it, and yeah, working with my brother. We don't see each other every day. Like, I talk to him sometimes, and he'll like either tell me that that's a bad idea, or, you know, I shouldn't be doing it that way, or whatever, or that thumbnail's garbage. That happens a lot, and we reshoot the thumbnail. But like, he's got, you know, all the knowledge, because he's built his own channel. So like, you know, you have to kind of take his advice, and then do your own thing and fail, and then do something else.
We talked about that, because YouTube is you got to do the next thing better each time. And you and I had the same thing. Like, when I started out, I was like doing one thing, like vlogging about winning $500,000 from a loan, and then I switched and did the 87 Days series, reenacting what I did on a loan, but as if I did it here in Maine was the punchline, and it was like getting no views. And I realized after watching all those YouTube algorithm videos and studying YouTube that like, you have to be very narrow focused, and every time you switch topics, and if it's not more epic than the next one, then it's a bad choice. And like, you know, watching some of those other people that talk about it, you should always choose that. So it's like, we talked about, you know, the other day, you were saying like, you choose to do it because it was fun. So if you wanted to do it, you did it, knowing that sometimes that might not be as huge. It wouldn't go big. Like, you came right out of the gate with a super win with the Hobbit house, and then some other ones and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people don't start out with that much success when they go right first to YouTube. You know,
I just thought that was normal.
Yeah.
I honest to God,
it doesn't. It doesn't usually happen like that, you know, and stuff. And then you've what was the first one you might have done that? Let me see.
Well, so we built the outhouse first. That didn't do epic, but then there was the hobbit house, the root cellar, because my wife wanted a root cellar, and we built that. And I think when you're building a YouTube build, there is an element of crazy in it. And I've always said that when you're like YouTube, I think is a race to crazy town, and every build has to have a little bit of crazy in it in order to actually capture the attention or even the imagination of the people. Like if they can't envision themselves doing it, even if they're never going to do it, I don't think they're going to watch. Like there's a couple of videos that I went a little above and beyond, which I think I really wanted to do it. I did it anyways. The sphere build, for one, is one of those really, I wanted to do it. I wanted to build a sphere cabin, like a ball cabin, forever. I wanted to do it, and I knew, well, I didn't know at the time that nobody would watch it. But it wasn't a great, successful series. But you know what? At the end of the day, I got this really cool ball cabin, and I wanted to do it. So really, it did okay. It didn't do as well as every other one, but you know.
Yeah, that was a weird one though. It's like it was good. And I watched the ball one just because I wanted to hear you sing the wrecking ball, you know, and you didn't disappoint. So
I came in like a wrecking ball. I don't know the other words of that song. Yeah. Bonk.
There's that aspect of it too. You're always having fun, and it comes off in the videos, I think.
Because I was actually having fun.
I feel like you're giving hopefully they understand, like we're talking about, because he's talking about like making a big ball of garbage and handing it over to your brother. You're talking about the slog of the video clips, not the actual finished product and stuff, and how your build is not a pile of garbage. You know, even though you're building balls of craziness up in the tree. You know, I'm looking back at the beginning here. Like your first video was the small cabin. Mm-hmm. You know, 3.7 million views right now. And it just probably keeps going, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like,
that one's,
you know,
that was a no talking one. So
what is modern self-reliance?
That was the pitch. That was actually the first video Chris and I did. We spoke about what we were going to do, and there's the list. Yeah. The list is our arm length. I don't know if I haven't rewatched that video.
Yeah, you should see about what you haven't knocked off the list. See if there's something you missed that was good.
Yeah, like wood-fired hot tubs in there. I did that.
But even the outhouse has got 218K now. The Hobbit house, okay, that was actually number 4. Mm-hmm. And that's 2.3 million. Yeah, so like here we go. It was like here's something that I bet you anything your brother said don't do this one.
No, he said do that one. The firewood collection video. He said, you know what, do it. Make it as exciting as you can. You know what? Nobody likes the hard work. Like who wants to watch somebody get firewood? I am excited about firewood. I know nobody else is. I have a large collection of firewood, and I don't care who knows that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. That's why I do firewood collections every once in a while. I have a great sponsor, Easton Made Wood Splitters, that have kindly, said, you know what, we like this Canadian. He's also Canadian, and he gave me a log. Well, I kind of funded the log splitter, but anyways, we're going off on a tangent. I like firewood.
I don't even know if we go back this far on my channel that like my views are as high as this on my earlier videos.
Yeah, and you know what? I wasn't even on a syndicated network TV show.
Yeah,
it's weird. Eh?
Yeah, that's weird.
It's starting from the bottom. Now I'm here.
Yeah. Well, you stuck pretty. You know what? I think looking at the channel again, and as we're talking about it, I think the reason you did so well is you were very consistent. Like it's one build after the next. People knew what they were gonna get. With me, they never knew. It was like they're gonna be a slingshot video this time, where I'm gonna cut a card with a slingshot. Am I gonna go and spend some time surviving? Mm-hmm. And then I go and do something about surviving for 30 days, and they're like, they expect every video to be like that, and they're all disappointed when I switch to doing, anything else. Mm-hmm. And then they were all disappointed when I started to do something like what was it? But anyways, yeah, so I started doing builds, and they're like, I wish you would do more bushcraft stuff, but that's the comments for you, right? That the people always want what they don't see you doing, it seems like. The grass is always greener on the other side, and nice thing is there's always a YouTuber out there doing something different, so you can go out there and find and watch whatever you want.
But what I find really crazy about YouTube is that they're kind of, what they've done is they've made it so your channel is designed to only show you that one specific thing. Like there isn't like it's really hard to have a channel that has many facets, because people, when they want to watch, the Food Network, for instance, they don't want to watch somebody building a house. So they turn into the Food Network to watch the food being made. Mm-hmm. So like it's hard to, but I think that's what YouTube's trying to do, is they're trying to make, okay, so you build stuff, you should always build stuff, and it's hard to make it work. I don't know how that works exactly.
Yeah, I had him tell me once that your catch and cook videos do the best, and like you should just do catch and cook videos. So when I had one of those YouTube advisors for a little bit,
right.
and it's like I like to do that, but I like to do everything else too. So what I did was, I did the slingshot videos, and some of those slingshot videos did really well too. But I had to but then when I did all the slingshot videos and they started doing really well, all my survival-y stuff took a dive again for a little bit. And so what I figured out for myself, and that was my advice for you when we were talking about the other day, was when it came to making a Christmas presents video and that didn't do so well, like making a clock. Like as a thumbnail, it doesn't really ring, even though as a Facebook video and somebody's watching on TikTok, they love to see you build, they would get right into it because it's about the experience of you building. Because everybody, once they start watching your stuff, I feel like if they like building, they're super into it. It's really well done. You and your brother, the edit's awesome. And it's a sad thing is that so much of YouTube is driven by the thumbnails. So I make mine as epic of a thumbnail as possible, and then I just do whatever I want throughout the video as long as it contains what the thumbnail is about. There's plenty of time to take breaks, shoot slingshots. There's plenty of time to take a break and catch and cook something. There's plenty of time to cook something that you bought from the store and experience all that stuff. And in the end, though, there are times where I just want to do other things completely, like just interview somebody, and if I put it up, it would probably get 5,000 views on Fowler's Making Mischief. And so we made the Fowler Extra channel, and we're going to be doing a Fowler Catch and Cook Kitchen channel, which we'll have like glimpse of the catch from the other channel. So that way I can just do cooking show sometimes.
Great. Because that's a new channel.
That's going to be my third channel for myself.
You got many irons in the fires, and short order cooking videos, and
short order cooking a video. That's what we actually do want to do that one of these times, like rent a whole kitchen and do a free, and we'll call it a catch and cook restaurant for a day.
Just bring your catch.
That's like my Mr. Beast idea, where I would catch a whole bunch of whatever lobsters or something like that, and we go in, or maybe do a really well duck hunt, and then we go into a restaurant and we work with them to cook and serve and be like, surprise, everything is free today. This is the catch and cook restaurant for the day, and we film it and stuff where we actually, we serve everybody duck or something like that, that we caught ourselves, if we can figure it out. Or maybe lobster rolls.
That would be.
You tried lobster for the first time here?
Everything I've eaten on this trip has been delicious, and I think it has a little bit to do with your wife. She's a great cook. Thank you very much. If you're watching this.
If you're wondering why I'm such a hearty gentleman, it's definitely.
I got in trouble from my wife from trying lobster because I've always said, well, I look at the price tag and I smell it going by, and I was like, But like here, it didn't smell like fish. Like it wasn't fishy smell. It was just buttery delicious. It was good. Because I primarily go by smell. If it doesn't smell good, I don't want it.
It's because all this close to the ocean, everything smells like the sea, and so you didn't realize it, but it's subliminally getting into your head. And so when we were cooking lobster, it's like you've already been smelling it for days. You didn't know it.
So the other day when you were like, "Here's an oyster," I did not realize those were raw oysters I ate. Okay.
You just figured that part out, or
just the other day.
I
ate raw oysters. I'm like,
after you ate it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. After you slugged it?
Yeah.
Yeah. At least you didn't know that beforehand, huh?
Well, I imagine they're freeze dried, or I don't know. How am I not gonna? I'm still okay now. What's the saying? I learned.
No, they're not freeze dried. They come right from the sea, and
fresh and
and you crack it and you pop it open and into you. Yeah,
that's wild. So the saying I learned today was is it moist as an oyster? It's as moist as an oyster out here. Or is
yeah. It's as clammy as an oyster. I don't know. It's moist as an oyster. I don't know. I haven't heard that.
It's as moisture as an oyster out here. Yeah.
Who said that?
Oh, Aiden said that.
Aiden said that.
I gave him a bunch of tools, and Aiden taught me a saying. But I can't remember it. He probably can't remember the advice I gave him anyways. Like, don't cut your arm off. Yeah. That's a good advice. Hopefully he remembers that.
Yeah, I wish I had listened to you. Some of it. You have to watch the videos, but I managed to shoot myself with a nail gun and he, like, premonition wise was like, yeah, I don't like that setting because it's dangerous. And I was like, oh, it's one of my favorite settings. So you just nailed. And well, you'll see it in the series. I'm okay though. I got better. It was that was rough. But hand still works and we're still going at it.
It's like foreshadowing.
We still have a lot to do. And before we get back to it, that's your YouTube. That's what you've been doing. You're making beautiful builds, having tons of fun. Brother's editing them, so you're living the dream. Like I, have Matt editing my stuff now, but I still do the final cut a lot of the times, or I'll sit and review it with him, and then do some voiceovers. And a lot of times, for me, like as the head of all this, I end up sitting here all weekend long, like after everybody else goes home, and I'm still doing a whole edit. So that's pretty sweet that you get to just go home.
What I was gonna say, I do I do my thumbnails.
You do your thumbnails?
I do. Because I'm a photographer. I used to do a lot of Photoshop, so I do my own thumbnails. That's what Chris, I do a lot of Chris's thumbnails as well. He'll send me the assets, and I actually put Chris's thumbnails together.
I thought he had somebody on Fiverr that did some stuff too.
I don't,
or something like that.
Because he's been a little bit behind, so he wants them done so he just sends me that, and I get up from eating dinner and I go make his thumbnail, and I come back and eat my dinner. No, it's not that rushed, but it's usually pretty rushed. But I've been making his thumbnails. I've been making my own thumbnails. But he generally comes and takes them, because a lot of the builds it's harder to do a selfie thing. But I've gotten a remote trigger. You'll actually see it in some of the thumbnails real close. It's just a thing, so I can take a picture while standing away. So I've been, being a YouTuber, you actually get really good at taking pictures of yourself, which is a weird skill to have. But I think it's good to have in these days. Like selfie. Like it's the way of the future. It is.
Well, or like the AI there now, it's like you can just make up everything. Matt's been using, we take all kinds of crazy thumbnails and we take them from pictures that we take during the series, and we build everything out, because like Greg never sends in a thumbnail for Ovens Rocky Mountain Bushcraft, right?
Really?
So we have to build it out. So we'll take them from pictures that I have of him from the 30-day survival challenge 3 years ago or more, and then we take that Greg and stick him in the picture, and then a picture that's enhanced from a clip from the video, and it takes a lot of work, but then the results are pretty good. But
yeah.
It's nice if you have somebody taking your thumbnails. So we put up a community post earlier this morning letting everybody know Kevin was here, and you guys left us some questions. Let's go and see what those questions are. All right, so we got our questions from you guys. We put up a community post on Kevin's channel, Modern Self-Reliance, and that's linked in the description below if you guys want an easy way to find that and you're bored of listening to us already. I thought that was funny. Like, I looked at the picture after we shared it. You got the nail gun like back, but it's above my head, but it's almost like
I got trigger.
You got your fingers off the trigger, but it's like it is behind. We're like,
I wouldn't shoot you again.
Well,
you already shot yourself.
Well, yeah, I already shot myself. We don't need to get shot again. But I thought that was kind of funny for some reason. Nobody said anything about it though, so whatever. It's about time you guys do a collab. My question is for both of you: what is your dream job? I thought we were doing our dream jobs.
Dream job, yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is there a dreamier job than what we're doing now?
I think I'd rather do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. That's kind of what I'm doing now. So I think that's my dream job, and get paid for it.
I don't have any complaints about what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
You?
No.
I mean, we like it. Right?
You know what? I applied at McDonald's once because I wanted the employee discount, and I did not get hired. They just, I don't know. They wouldn't. I didn't get an interview. Nothing. I filled out the application as best as I thought they would give me an interview at the very least, and I didn't get it. I just wanted to try. Honestly, I was like 27 years old or something like that.
Really?
I worked at the Holiday Inn Express once, 6 hours.
I worked at Joann Fabrics once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you about that. I used to walk. I was a maintenance guy there, but I also bought fabric and made dresses during high school for girls, not for myself. I actually made like 3 prom dresses for girls.
Nice.
And paid job, and I made skateboard clothes for myself, and then I went to boat building after that, because it was just like I didn't want to go fashion school. It just seemed kind of stuffy. Like I wanted to be outdoors more, and the boat scene seemed better, even though I knew nothing about boats. So I feel like we both established here that we are doing our dream job, and for me, this has been a dream, having you up here, building something together, and this build being so big and so epic I'm living the dream. I feel like I'm so excited, and now that we got the aircraft hangar done, I can do season 7 Waterworld Sky Edition, and I can build my Zeppelin boat that floats and lands in different lakes someday, as soon as we figure out that technology.
You know what? It should be like a.
We'll have you back down to help with the build.
I was thinking like
We might need more than a week.
a drone. Like, those drones? Like, why would you go like old technology? Go new technology, drone. They got
Drone boat.
Yeah, by that time they're gonna have the drone boat. Just
How many? Yeah. How many DJI drones would it take to float us around?
that would be something.
Bolt them all together, and if you could sync them all to one controller. No, yeah,
They
that
have
could
the fireworks things that do the things
that could be
now,
possible.
like that.
Yeah, but I just fell in love with. I found the sketch a long time ago of the little blimp Zeppelin-y thing and a ship that hangs below it, just like a pirate ship.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted. But maybe there's a way to still have
like,
both.
The drone is the.
Maybe there's a blimp that brings you to closer to neutral buoyancy, and then there's drone propellers on it, on fins, that help you go up.
Yep.
And the blimp is just, that way the blimp doesn't have to be too big. Because that's the most discouraging thing I found out as I was researching it. Like, a blimp that carries you in a ship that could land in the lake and sit there would have to be ginormous.
What about like
like-
a hot air balloon with drones on it?
Well, that
That looks
hot air
like a
balloon's
blimp.
a basket's the size of what you and I are sitting right here in front of the table, and I would,
want
and
it to be
that's
more
one
like-
balloon. It's like and those are made out of lightweight baskets. So I just feel like the technology is not there. But I think you're onto something with the drone propellers. So a blimp, and then propellers and stuff that brings you off of neutral and doesn't have to be as powerful. Something that, like the balloon itself, like if you fell, you would only barely need to put out a parachute if you ran out of power
Boom,
and stuff.
boom.
You just kind of fall and not die. So yeah, we're living our dream jobs, I guess, is the whole point of that. And the tangent. What would you say, Fowler, if asked tomorrow to go on alone again? Well, let's pitch it to both of us. I would say I got to, because I won season 3, and so I'm not going to let everybody else go out and go at it without me.
Okay. I can answer
Would
that
you go
question
on
too.
alone?
I can answer that question too. So we were, I guess, I don't know, is there not NDA on that? So Chris was asked, I guess, about, they were floating the idea, I don't know if it was selected or if we got the short list or anything, but it was like siblings alone. And
Oh,
then
really?
It was like brother, sister, whatever, group alone, which I don't know, they had to change the name of it because it's not alone anymore. But they did a season when they had two
Yeah,
people.
right after mine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was going to be like siblings alone, and then I guess they couldn't get any brother. So we were, I think we were on the short list, and I said, you know what, no.
No.
I don't live in the bush.
So you ruined the season by not saying no?
Well, I could have gone on and just got off real quick, like
Yeah.
like if I go there, I want to take all the stuff home with me, and that's why I drove here because I
Yeah,
want to take all
yeah.
this. I'd be collecting rocks, and then I'd be like, gotta eat, and then I'd be like, oh, I got all these rocks.
I don't know. I almost think you sell yourself short. I bet you if you were busy enough
Yeah.
and he was able to kill and catch all the food, you'd build a pretty nice home, and you wouldn't sleep so well, but like at the same time, you'd have a lot of fun during the daytime building stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's pretty fun. I had so much fun building stuff the whole time I was there.
Well, you got to keep your mind busy. Well, anything
Yeah.
like that, like even now, like I've been. This is day 6 of me being away, and really, the time has. I should stop banging the table. The time has flown by because we're doing like 12-hour days. Like there's no real time to think about anything else. And I imagine if you're surviving in the forest and that's what you did, you're kind of fully immersed. You don't have a bling of a cell phone, and you're immersed. Like I think any time that you can be fully in the zone and not distracted, I think is the ideal job actually.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about that.
Do you turn off your phone when you're filming and working?
Generally, no, because I'm always looking for parts. So I'm either like there's a supplier calling me or something like that. So I'm still running the thing, and then I find if I'm too in the zone,
I don't, but I kind of tune out my phone.
Yes.
Unless we're filming something like this, then I usually, and even right now I didn't, but like I usually I put it on mute.
Yep.
For a little bit, and then I always forget to turn it back on, and then everybody's mad at me because they're trying to get a hold of me and stuff. All
I
right.
find I have to take a break. So like I use my breaks of sitting. Otherwise I'll just run myself into the ground when my.
See, I noticed that about you. As we're working, you take breaks. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I just keep going.
Well, there's
I keep going until like I'm a top. I just keep going until I spin and fall over. Like that's
I find there's a depreciating rate of return. If you work and never take a break, you actually just slow down to the point where you either make mistakes or you just like you're done.
And that's I don't know how to say enough is enough. I just keep going until I'm so fried I end up like in tears. Like I'm just like I can't wake up the next day because I'm just so frazzled. But I don't know. It works, and so far nobody's died. And I wasn't tired when I shot myself in the hand. So that some things just happen. That's the first work injury. We reset. Now it's been 2 days since the last injury. Actually, no, the last injury before this that was actually kind of serious was chopping my foot with the axe when I was with Greg Ovens in the Rockies. I didn't move around the tree properly, and I was reaching to get that one last whack with a super sharp axe, and whacked it, and it went right through the tree and into my boot, and got myself.
Did you cut? It got cut.
Yeah, I cut right through the boot because it was super sharp, you know. And I should have just moved my feet position properly, and whack, and then the tree would have fallen over. It was just a small one. I was just like whacking from one side, and then I went like that one towards and. So
I always find if you're doing something dangerous, you always want to be fully focused on your thing. And if your mind wanders even slightly, like you're thinking, what's for dinner tonight? You'll injure yourself. Yeah. You gotta like fully in the zone when you're using something dangerous, especially a chainsaw, axe, same thing. That's what I find. Like I can almost pinpoint it. As soon as I start daydreaming using something dangerous, it bites you.
Yeah, I've been bit a couple times, and one of the things I always tell people is tools have a bite limit. And whenever you exceed that or don't respect that, you get hurt. You know, and on that nail gun, that axe, they had a bite limit that, you know, I used the axe the wrong way, I got bit. You know, the nail gun, I just
there was a learning curve on
cruising away, and it's kind of heavy in the way I swung it, so it would bang and punch, and it went through the side of the board and came up and caught me on the hand. I got really lucky that it didn't hit the bone. All right, so our next question, user -UWI. So I guess it doesn't really matter about reading their names because they don't think. Like, how do you guys balance projects, recording, editing, all that? How do you balance all these things? I feel like we kind of almost already answered that. You balance it by having your brother to do the edits. Do you shut off really well when you get home, or do you bother your family with telling them all about, and I say this because this is my experience, I bother everybody by continually, like, just, you know, we're talking all about stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if this would float less if I put this on that, or if I could catch more fish if I, you know, like, you know, I never shut off.
I turn, like, I think once my day is shooting is done, I call it shower time. So when I'm in the shower, I think about problems that occurred during the day that I need to fix for the following day. And then that's pretty much it. Beyond like organizing stuff that needs to be organized, I'll do. But it's pretty much like, it's a full-time job during the week. And then sometimes it spills over into the weekend. Sometimes it's like, depends what the build is. Like if it's a really super crazy fun build, it's not a job, it's not work, it's my life. So I'm doing it anyways, and I think it's fun doing it. Sometimes
that is what kind of makes it hard, because it's like when you're a YouTuber, it's not a job, it's kind of your life.
Yeah.
And so where do you draw that line?
On the weekends, you have to stop having fun. Yes, right? Stop. I can't have fun on the weekend. I've got to do like adult stuff this weekend. No, but like, I think that's the only problem, is that if something's so fun during the week and then the weekend shows up and you're doing stuff that's less fun, like, I don't know, cleaning the house or something like that. Like, you gotta, like,
well, I mean, I love spending time with the kids, and we have super fun doing all that stuff and dragging them around on the tubes and things. But when we're doing the things that are super fun for them, sometimes I am like, I'm still thinking like, oh, you know, like I'm daydreaming. I'm like, oh, I got to get my head in the game here. And, you know, be dad, like I have the hardest time in the world shutting off. I lay it, like last night I was super awake. Like, I don't know what happened after we finished for the night, and it was like 9:30. I think I laid there for like 2 hours thinking about all the stuff that I wanted to still to do and order, and it's time for being able to hit the water and materials. You know,
it might have been the glue.
Might have been the glue.
There was a lot of glue.
The PL Premium.
Yes,
it was everywhere.
Yeah.
That stuff is crazy.
I'm gonna be like, I got like black fingers forever.
Somebody says sausage shirt.
Sausage shirt 956.
Yeah, sausage. Yeah, says I knew it was going to be you. I can't wait to see what you'll get up to. What's the most challenging part of any build? What's the most challenging part of any build? I don't know. For me, I feel like it's getting started. And then it's the beginning and the end. Like when I'm in it and I don't want to stop, and it's hard to stop at the end of the day. But like getting that first start and stepping out the door and taking those materials that I purchased, not even that part of the start, just like starting to cut that first piece of wood or build that first piece of thing, is the hardest part. And then 100% finishing it, because like we're getting towards the end, I get towards the end and I need to be out there finishing the video or something, like when it's like the tiny houseboat, I still have work to do to that thing, and I was going to do more episodes on that until it's like super bomb proof and perfect. And you finish your stuff really well. And I'm like, I really, I got to end this episode because it's just dragging on. It's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks, and I really want to get on to some other stuff and take a break and come back to this. So there's still stuff that I wanted to do to the tiny houseboat. There's still stuff that I wanted to do to the glamper. There's still stuff that I wanted to do to finish the Easy Rider series because the motorcycle was messing up and we didn't finish it last year. But you seem to be a finisher.
So I think that has a lot to do with general contracting and what I would like generally get tasked to do by homeowners. Is come in and fix. I call it homeowners arts and crafts, which would be either the husband or the wife. I'm not going to discriminate. They would start a project and they would get to the fun part. So they would get to the demolition and they would get to like, I picked out my colors and the furniture that I'm going to have in this room, but they failed to put the drywall up, or they put the drywall up a little bit and they're like, I don't like taping. So they would move all their furniture back in, they get the carpet and they put their TV in and they carry on with life. And then I would get called 10 years later to finish. And what people don't realize, well, a lot of people don't realize, is that the actual end part of any construction job is like a lot of the times a lot of the work. Like that extra, like the 20% that's left at the end is like more than 50% of the job. Like the finishing touches, like that lipstick and the polish right at the end, is actually where a lot of people don't know what to do, or they have like, perfect stands in the way of good. And I feel, once you're done your project and you're living in the space, you don't really notice that it's not perfect. Like before I had a child, I have a daughter. She's 6, Lena. Hi, Lena. And she would, I lived in a museum. I built a house. It was a concept house. It was really cool look. I actually renovated a house, and it was a museum. I didn't want it to be wrecked. Everything was pristine, perfect, immaculate. There was thousands of hours built on this thing, and I said, I'm done. I sold it. I moved to a house that wasn't quite perfect, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna have a big dog. I'm gonna have a child, and the child can be a child. They can, they still can't put their hands on the walls, but
yeah.
But like allowed that to happen. I don't know where did we start off on that? What's the hardest part of any job? Finishing it.
Yeah.
And getting all the material together.
See, I feel like for me, and as you're saying that, it reminds me like, so I'm not saying that I don't finish the projects. I have a harder time finishing the projects, but because my project, whenever I'm doing something, is the video. Like I love the video. I love making the video. I love to see the finished video. And so even when I have to stop and I'm like, I can't fit it all in one episode, I make sure that I finish that video. Like I took the tiny houseboat out and I finished the episode with a catch and spending overnight on it. And it was nice, and I finished my goals in that aspect, and the video was finished and it was tight. And I was really happy with the fish catches. I was really happy with the product and the build and how that turns out each time. And if it doesn't, and if I'm not there yet, it doesn't matter if I have a sponsor on it or not. I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I'm under contract. I know, but like, I'm not putting the video out. This doesn't feel finished to me. I don't want to put something out for them that when they watch it, it doesn't feel finished. It drives me nuts. That is, as long as the video feels finished, I'm okay with finishing the project in next videos or stages later. But unless I finish a stage of the project and if the video feels finished, we don't go any further.
In my opinion, I'm done when the project is done.
Yeah.
I let my brother deal with the video to see if it makes sense, and I let him do that sort of aspect, and he sometimes, like, you didn't.
So he sometimes splits them into more?
He'll split them into more parts, or he'd be like, you don't have enough in this video, even though I've shot for 2 weeks worth of actual building, and he's like, you only got 15 minutes. So I'm like, what? I've shot 2 weeks and only have 15 minutes? Like, that's occurred, that's happened.
Yeah.
Because some of the builds are quite extensive, and quite honestly, a lot of the build isn't that glamorous. It's not even. It's not even.
I don't know. You guys do a pretty good job of making everything seem pretty glamorous. Well, and maybe that's where, like we were talking about earlier, your knowledge of all the qualities and the materials and how to manage each of these things. And I love how it's each time like there's something a little bit different, the ball and the materials to wrap around it, and to do that in a different aspect of it.
Well, a lot of the builds are around what kind of materials I have. Like if you were to have to buy a lot of this stuff and you weren't really able to find it, or they wouldn't happen, to be quite honest with you, because it's cost prohibitive at this point.
Would you do a meet and greet? Well, he doesn't have enough time. I'm sorry. We didn't really think about that. It would have been fun if we had done a little, meet and greet with people, but I was never dared to do a meet and greet because I always feel like if I did a meet and greet, like 3 people would show up and it'd be like, hey, let's go have pizza or something. I don't know. Like, so awkward.
Chris and I did a meet and greet at Lyndon's fish hatchery. Chris and I did, and
how many people came?
One set of people came to see me, and they were disappointed I didn't bring Bean, my dog, because it was too hot that day, and like 4 or 5 people showed up for Chris. It was with the glamper.
Yeah,
and like people are busy during the day. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I, if you want to chat with me, I'm on Instagram most of the time. You can actually. You could probably put that link down below. It's I'm on Instagram, so if you need to chat, or I'm on Facebook. So like if you wanna meet and greet and chat with me there, like I don't answer them all the time, but frequently I am there. And if you have a question or a concern, or even I like to see people's projects. I like to see what people have done, because a lot of people have.
Ooh, that'd be a good one for you. You should do because like one of the other questions. Did I see it on here? Or is it? We've already gone through mine. That reminds me of the question on my channel. Was what's our next versus build, right? And we don't have one because we didn't talk about or do anything else except for build this, eat stuff.
And we did like a side build too. We built an airport hangar.
We did build the airport hangar.
And we moved a tiny house.
Yes, so we did a lot of stuff, like way too much stuff to have any time to like being even very personal. Like we've just been grinding,
we've been eating
a lot.
Yeah, the food's been good, and that's
like I'm learning more about you right now than the whole time you've been here. Because like
this is the first time we've talked.
No, because we've just been like, okay, so what are we gonna do? What's our plan? What's up? Both of us are still like what's our plan? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it? So if we do another versus, that would be pretty fun. And that was a fun kind of collab to do. We've done 2 now, right?
Yeah.
So we did the tiny houseboat.
Well, we did the
glampers and the tiny boat.
Yeah.
And those both turned out really fun for both of us, and people got to see your build and my build, and
the winter got in the way. That was kind of a rush on my side, like to try. Like,
you had to launch yours into the ice and stuff, and
that was actually that was really fun pulling ice cubes out of it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a good build. So if we do another one, I don't know, we'll have to come up with something new. Now that I have the lake property, though, I could
should do underground
build. That's what I was just gonna say.
Oh
see, we think so alike.
Like right inside,
I was thinking like a true hobbit house or something.
Let's do it.
Like hobbit house build off or something. I see, but you can get away with that kind of stuff. I have code enforcers, so like I could do it, but I can't make a video or I'll get in trouble. But you can do almost anything if it's under 100 square feet. So maybe I could make a tiny house that was worth building for me, that was under 100 square feet and was at least 100 feet back from the water and past all their whatevers, and it's a bunker-y thing.
Yeah.
But so we both need sponsors from tractor companies so we could do these videos, or we'll just pretend we'll just dig them with sticks. Like those guys.
You know what?
They do it. We can do it. Yeah, but they don't have rocks. They just have clay. I feel like that's got to be easier.
It's like beach sand carving. They're like
yeah, you can carve like we don't have like buckets of blue dye to make pools and things like that. So we'll stick with maybe some help from some friends and some shovels and some tractors if we have them on hand, and maybe we'll do a underground build off. That would be fun.
That would be epic.
So let's see if there's some other underground build off.
Done on my list.
We gotta get it done before, either do it before winter or maybe it's a spring thing.
You know what? Wintertime digging is actually quite enjoyable compared to.
I don't know how you did wintertime digging. Like I can't get the ground to crack open at all. It's solid.
Really?
Like 4 feet down.
You probably don't have any like enough snow on the ground. Like in the forest, the ground doesn't freeze.
Yeah, here it's always like it's like a temperate rainforest. It'll rain or it'll snow all night and then rain all day and it goes away and like
that's weird.
We two times this winter we had snow for a foot or two and then it went away like within a week, right, John? Something like that. Like I don't even hardly remember it because it's
I was just talking to my dad. It's more like the volatility. It's like when the snow comes, it doesn't stay for very long. Just like gets rained away or melted away.
So, glad to see you. And Chris is back again. At first, when I read that, I thought he was talking about your brother. Like, they're confusing you. I think they're talking about Chris Taylor because he's going to be with me on Waterworld. And since Kevin's, not sticking around for that part of it, what happened to him during everybody keeps asking Chris, like, they're always so, like, what happened to Chris? Chris had a job, and he took a job, and he went and did the job. But he was doing like propane and propane accessories, and installs and helping out with all that kind of stuff. But now he's helping us on this, and then I don't know what he's going to be doing after that. So hopefully, maybe at some point he'll start, find the time and he'll start getting back into Chris Taylor mainstream adventures. What are you going to do? Are you going to do primitive fishing rods? Oh, we're going to do regular fishing rods and stuff. It's kind of be glamped up on the old pirate ship to a degree. So we'll have all the amenities. What are you? I wish did have more time when we had gotten like. The boat was almost built when you came because like you and I would have so much more fun doing some of these detailed stuff.
Like the finishes, yeah.
Yeah, we like you do so many cool things with the lighting. I loved the lighting in the cube. That was one of my.
I can offer my consultation.
Cool. Yeah,
I can give you ideas. We can walk through it before I go. With like the 11th hour, I'll walk through. I'll be like, okay, get a pen and a piece of paper and write it down.
When are you going back to Canada or abroad? Back to Canada. He's heading back tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow.
It's 13.
You can see the video on his channel. He'll have, depending on when these come out, on his channel, which is linked below, is going to be his vlog of his adventure coming here and helping out, and then it will also be your. You did a little tour.
I did a tour of your tiny house.
Critiqued my work down there.
I offer constructive criticism.
Oh, geez.
And potential upgrades and things I would have done. There's a couple different ways.
So I wasn't there for that. So I guess I'll look forward to it then.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to skin a cat. It might be actually all in one video. I don't know how long I ran. Chris cuts the video, so it depends on what he feels as though if I talked long enough or shot enough B-roll to see if it's going to be its own standalone video or if it's going to be just an added behind-the-scenes video.
Last question, James Skyler AC1 or whatever. In this modern day and age, how can one truly rely on oneself? I guess that's a throw towards you with the
Modern Self-Reliance?
Modern Self-Reliance, the name of your YouTube channel. How can one truly rely on oneself?
Well, we Chris and I actually went back and forth on the channel name, and we kind of figured as much on the modern aspect of it. Really, because the way humans have evolved and kind of they're on every corner of the planet. If you were to try to truly rely on oneself in order to survive, like catch all your food and all that sort of stuff, you wouldn't be able to survive. There's simply too many humans. If agriculture wasn't in place, you wouldn't survive. That's basically what we came to. And what my spin on my channel is that I am pretty much a do-it-yourselfer. So the modern self-reliance is that fact that I myself figure out how to do it with the modern amenities that are around at my disposal. So I'll use any tool I can really, and I'm doing it myself though. I'm using those tools. I'm using a tractor. I'm heating with firewood. I'm cooking my own food. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing stuff that I myself am doing it regardless if I'm using tools that are readily available. Like just like a caveman would have used fire to cook their food. They wouldn't just breathe on it heavily and just eat it. They're using tools. They're using stone tools. They're using spears to hunt. Like if you're saying you can't use that sort of technology, like whatever the technology is at the time,
rely. Like a lot of people, you know, your toilet breaks, what's the first thing you do? You call a plumber or something like that. I would never do that. I'll fix it myself. I'll take it apart. I'll figure out what's wrong with it and go from there. That's kind of what my take on modern self-reliance is. And, you know, doing everything you can to not rely on somebody else if stuff were to hit the fan. Sort of,
Yeah,
you know?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, because like as you said that, we can't survive, you know, because there's so many people and so much stuff going on. There's only few places in the world where people are supposed to be, you know, are able to be self-sufficient, sort of, you know, and there's like very small percentages. People, I always laugh when I see a YouTube and they have like some sort of gardens and all this stuff, and they say that they're self-sufficient. I've been self-sufficient for 25 years. Like, there's no way you're self-sufficient. Like, you know, the salt, everything, you need like a certain percentage, whether you're earning the money there and you're going somewhere for it. And I think of the North Pond hermit who spent like 30 some odd years in Maine, in the North Pond, but he wasn't self-sufficient. He stole from camps. He relied on everybody else to buy the stuff for him and lived off of their stuff while he lived in the woods.
My helper Don, you know, everybody, if you guys watch my channel, you know who Don is, and Don actually he listened to the audiobook on that hermit guy.
Yeah.
He like stole propane canisters to stay warm, and he never lit a fire.
No, he didn't use the propane to stay warm at all.
What did he use it for?
He only used it to heat his can of beans. So during the winter, he would lay under a bundle of blankets.
And then he had catalogs underneath them, right, to insulate himself.
Well,
and he had all the books.
Mattresses he stole and sleeping bags, new ones every year that he stole. And he would only run that just long enough to cook up his cans of stolen food. And then he wouldn't go anywhere during the winter ever. So he would just sit there and because he didn't want to leave tracks so that people would find him.
That's wild.
And during the fall he would steal, and during the spring he would have to. And he only ran to one person on a hiking trail once in 12 years in or something.
Didn't that guy that he ran into, I said, I know who you are, and he just kept walking?
No, I think he just said,
dramatized?
he said hi and just kept going.
I think they may have dramatized the story of him, because I think the hiker, from what Don told me, is that the hiker knew who he was. Like, I know who you are, and then he kept going away. I think he just kept walking away.
I think so.
Not
the way I remember.
I'll have to listen to it on the ride home. I got about 15 hours.
There you go. Listen to the North Pond Hermit. We'll learn some modern self-reliance from that.
That's yeah. I think you have to have a certain amount of reliance on other people.
Yeah.
And that's the way it has been since the beginning of time. There was tribes. There was no the lone wolf got eaten.
Yeah. Or they just you're haggard.
Yeah.
Like every time I've done something alone for a bit of time, like even doing the 7-Day Island Survival Challenge, like I still had support. These guys, you know, brought new batteries out to me once or twice, things like that. You know, it's like that, the filming aspect adds so much more to it, obviously, right. But like it was exhausting. It's exhausting just for 7 days, you know, dealing with it. And then I've done 87 days alone, and I tell you, like, I felt like I could have gone to 100 and keep going at the time, but like at the minute I was done, I was like, oh, thank goodness. 87 days, 3 months basically alone.
That's crazy.
It was like, and I was relying on tools and things that I brought with me. I can't imagine starting from scratch. I had 10 items I was allowed to bring with me worth of tools, and stuff. We haven't even gotten into that, like talking about that. Like I love my tools.
I figured you were talked out. You were talked out about it. Too many people have asked you about that, I'm sure.
Well, I was just thinking in relation to you and I, like in building stuff, like I was the only person on that season that didn't bring a food ration as one of their 10 items.
Oh, really?
Because I knew that as soon as I ate that food, I wish I had that tool.
Right.
So,
yeah,
you know,
it's gone away.
But we've talked probably everybody's ear off for long enough, and we got a couple things to finish up, and before Kevin heads back, and I got to get some more work out of him because I'm going to be stuck building this by myself with just Chris and John helping me film, and we got a lot to do before we hit the water in like 4 days. We were going to do it in 1 day from now, but it's not realistic. So depending on when you watch this, the Waterworld Season 2 may be out or may be coming soon. We also did a Fowler Extra. Kevin and I went shopping at an antique store, buying stuff and having some fun there. You can check that out in the same channel here. And don't forget to check out Modern Self-Reliance, Kevin's amazing builds. It has been so awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for all the hard work. He's amazingly hard worker, keeping right up with me. And I feel like actually more like I'm trying to keep up with him. And it's just been such a fun time. It was everything I ever dreamed of, and I just like I'm still like riding high on how much we've accomplished and how cool this build is. I can't wait for you guys to see it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Fowler out.